The long wait is over. The NBA season is finally here. Well, it's on. I'm recording this on Sunday, and the season starts on Wednesday. But we're just right there. So let's kind of take a look at what each individual team has kind of done over the course of the off season, what their preseason has looked like, and what to expect from them. So I'm gonna start for this video in the Western Conference. I'm gonna do another video that should be out on the Eastern Conference, and split it up that way. So we'll have a couple videos. This one for the West, the next one for the East. But I'm gonna do this in order of standings from last year, from worst to best. So that means we have the Spurs. And the Spurs obviously got the crown jewel of the draft in Victor Wembanyama. He is a freak, and in this preseason, he has shown a lot of tools and just of what he can be. And obviously, I'm not particularly expecting anything crazy from him in the regular season. I mean, he's had really good moments this preseason, and he's played really well and will have an impact. Maybe more of an impact than what I originally thought, kind of going into even the preseason. But he's just a freak. I mean, he went number one overall. He's the best prospect we've seen since LeBron, probably. So he there's not really much more to be said other than he's like 7'5", like 8 feet wingspan. Like, he's crazy. He can shoot, can dribble, can defend. Like, he's going to be a problem in the league, and I'm excited to see what his rookie year will look like. That being said, I saw this thing of their reported starting five for the upcoming season, and it's Jeremy Shohan at the point, Devin Vassell at the two, Keldon Johnson at the three, Wemby at the four, and Zach Collins at the five. Now, that lineup is huge, which is interesting because a lot of these guys have, a lot of them can dribble, a lot of them can pass, which is really cool, and obviously that's a Spurs kind of staple. And then, yeah, just this lineup to me kind of seemed interesting. I know going into the year we thought Trey Jones was going to be the point guard for this team, and he may become that over the course of the year. But just Sohan at the one is kind of fun, and I'm excited. He's in year two, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how he progresses. I know he had kind of a fun rookie year for those Spurs fans out there, and I'm a big Sohan guy. Um, and I look forward to, like, just kind of how he and Wemby can play off of each other, and that should be a dynamic duo for a time to come. And then they've got Keldon under contract for a while. Devin Vassell just got his contract extended. So this Spurs team is heading in a very good direction. Hopefully, and of course Pop is there. So hopefully, for as long as he can coach, he's gonna, do some really good things and fun, interesting things there in San Antonio. All right, now next to another city in Texas, Houston. These Rockets, they've had a pretty big offseason. They hired Ime Udoka. They signed Fred Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks. And then they drafted Amen Thompson. So, this team, though, I mean, like, this team's so hard to, like, kind of just talk about because they're exciting in a lot of ways. Like, I love Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green. Tari Eason has a ton of kind of intrigue. Jabari Smith uh, athletic is an athletic freak. He went number two, no, three overall in last year's draft. And just, like, kind of what to expect from this team. I'm not really high on the Fred Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks signings. I mean, they gave them a lot of money and they had to pay somebody. So, like, I get it. I just don't. I'm just not in love with this team. I do think Ime Udoka, though, is a good hire apart from, his kind of the reason why he's here, which I won't get into. But yeah, I think as far as a culture builder, Ime could do that, and just what really will this team do in the Western Conference? I don't know. Not a lot. Can they fight for a playing spot? Maybe. I mean, like, that's about as high as I think this team goes. They're just, you're hopefully Jalen Green can give you a jump that, like, leads to winning and not just, like, I don't know. He's had an interesting NBA career. Alperen Sengun, a lot of people love, and he's JJ Redick called him the baby Jokic, so that's and which is pretty accurate. And then they drafted Alman, who looks like he's going to be a bit more of a project than his brother, which is fine, because they signed Fred VanVleet to a contract, so he doesn't have to be like very good right away. But what can he get his rookie year? We'll just have to wait and see. But next, we got the Trailblazers, who are a much, much more exciting team. Scoot Henderson, they got Shaden Sharp and just these young, and Anthony Simons, these young wings who are very athletic and look to do a lot on the ball. They also, obviously the elephant in the room, they traded Dame. And so now this team is looking to start something new, right? So now they're really athletic in this on this team, right? You have Ayton, who is a far more athletic center than Nurkic. So I hope this team kind of runs down the court on offense, and defensively, Chauncey has a system where he like really presses and attacks the high on screens on the pick and roll. And with Nurkic, that's kind of like just really odd because years ago maybe, but even then, like Nurkic is not the fastest moving big out there. And with Ayton and hopefully a new buy-in that he has with this new fresh start he has in Portland, that system can kind of run a bit better. And you got Jeremy Grant, and you're just athletic all over the place. And so this team should be really fun a really fun league pass team. And Scoot should be pretty good right away, I think. And just what will we get for them? I Playing is pretty early for this team. I do think it's weird though, the Robert Williams and Ayton thing. I don't know how many minutes together they can play off. Like I don't know what that looks like. Really. So, and I don't know if I love that. I love them individually, and they should provide a lot for this team. So next up we have the Utah Jazz. Lauri Markkanen was a big factor for them and kind of came out of nowhere. And he played really well. We were kind of waiting for this kind of jump for him for a long time, back when he was with the Bulls, and then he signed with the Cavs and kind of was like, meh, and then got traded in the Donovan Mitchell deal. And then he had a really big year, which is exciting because he's super talented. They traded for John Collins in this offseason. They drafted Keontae George, Hendricks, and Sensabaugh, and then Ochai is in his second year, so they have some young intrigue. I don't know really what this team will do. I don't know. For me, it's just kind of hard to really sense with what this team will do in the Western Conference because it's so tough and because there are so many teams that I can see doing something, right? Houston obviously is planning on making some noise in this Western Conference because of how much money they spent and how long they've been bad. And this Jazz team is pretty ahead of schedule relative to how what we would have viewed them as going into even last year. We had them in the Wemby sweepstakes, and they ended up kind of being a bit better than that, which is awesome. Now with the Mavs, obviously Luka and Kyrie are here, and they should have a good offense just based off that. This team is expecting a lot out of these young guys. Derek Lively is kind of really their only big. You have Kleba, who is really good, and I love as a team defender and 3-point shooter. But you're expecting a lot from Lively as a rim protector and all that right away. So just what can they get from these rookies? Will Josh Green make a jump? I love the addition of Seth Curry to this team. Really big, especially to give Luka some rest off from having the ball. Kyrie does that already, but just in an off-ball movement with Seth Curry is also very good. Jason Kidd, what a coach, man. Just that's all I got to say for him. But this Mavs team definitely looks to do a lot better than what they did last year, and as a disappointment, especially after trading for Kyrie. So on to the New New Orleans Pelicans, who, health is always their big question, especially with Zion, who, again, in this preseason has shown to be a beast. They drafted Jordan Hawkins in the first round, who I'm a big fan of his, especially, you got CJ getting older and getting more guard play / forward play, who can handle the ball and also shoot, is super important in this league. Trey Murphy being hurt to kind of begin the year is a bit unfortunate. They got Herb Jones back. Valanciunas gives them a different kind of look, although like on paper it doesn't seem like he would fit, but he's a very good big for this team. Yeah, I mean, we all know, when healthy, this team can be incredible, and when not, they are play-in and borderline playoff team. So next, OKC. This team, SGA All NBA first team last year, had a big year. Looks to do that again. We'll see. I mean, he's made jumps every year in his career. I don't know what kind of jump is next after making All NBA first team. I guess it would be MVP, but we'll see. Chet is now being added to this team, so that is a big boost for them, especially last year when their big play, though, from Jay Will, Jalen Williams, the other one, was okay enough. They kind of lacked size that Chet certainly gives you, and especially length. So, what from him does J-Dub, who had a exceptional rookie year and kind of out of nowhere won? I mean, he was drafted 12th overall, but no one expected what he did to kind of become, especially as a rookie, what he did. Will he make a jump? What this Thunder team is very popular in terms of like what they are expected of. Will they achieve that? Who knows? Mark Dagnall's a great coach. They've got a lot of interesting young bench pieces. Cason Wallace is a feisty defender, and then Lou Dort is a steady defender and has kind of offensively maybe stagnated. We'll see with his three-point shooting, which is always a big question. But yeah, this Thunder team should be really fun, and hopefully they can make another jump. Onto the Timberwolves with Cat and Rudy Gobert again in this backcourt for year 2. They didn't really play together in year 1, but we'll kind of just have to see with what that fit looks like. They had moments of being cool. It definitely gets weird though with Cat just at the 4 having to guard. Like, what do they do defensively? Even when you have this all NBA or all defense guy, right, in Rudy Gobert, who definitely dropped. Anthony Edwards is expected to make a pretty big jump from last year. We'll see. He had an incredible playoff run, and then in the FIBA World Cup, he showed for Team USA that he's got some juice in the tank that to kind of extend from being like a very, very good NBA player to all NBA and beyond. Now with this Lakers team, they've made some big improvements even from their really successful trade deadline they had last year. They made, they signed Gabe Vincent, and added some more depth to this team. D'Lo is kind of an interesting little wrinkle to this. He said he wants to be Derek White, which is interesting. If he has buy-in defensively with his long arms, he could be a really good, solid team defender. I don't know if he'll be as good at defense as Derek White, but we'll, shout out to him for thinking or for wanting to do that as a team player. Obviously LeBron and AD, they'll do their thing. The regular season Lakers maybe, I think they just want to get into the postseason. Maybe they'll be better than a play-in team, I think. And then when, they get into the postseason at this point with Bron and AD, it's just get them there, and then they can make some noise like they did last year going to the Western Conference Finals. One of the Warriors, who made some big moves, trading Jordan Poole and then bringing in CP3. I'm in love with the idea of like a CP3, Kevin Looney pick and roll with like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry going off the ball. That seems like basketball heaven, and I think the Warriors of all teams are going to be able to do that and run that successfully. I love this fit. I know people are kind of hit or miss with it. I think this is going to be amazing, and hopefully CP3 can get a ring, which are obviously the expectations for the Warriors is to be in that title chase every year with Curry especially in this team, and then Andrew Wiggins has proven to be just one of the most steady players in the NBA, really at now. Okay, so on to the Clippers, where health again, like the Pelicans team, is a big problem with them. But now I think there's a real big sense of urgency because this team, is this their last run with PG and Kawhi? It may be, it's definitely the time for them is definitely dwindling together. I think, but this Clippers team has proven to be steady, and even when those two are hurt, they put up a really good fight. Russ added some juice. Terrence Mann, I'm a big fan of. Hopefully, he can, kind of elevate himself in this team again. Norm Powell I love him as a player, especially off the bench as another juice guy, kind of scorer for them off the bench. They added KJ. Not KJ Martin. KJ Martin to the team, and he'll like screen setting, defense, and just a solid wing player. Zubats is one of the most underrated bigs in the league. Mason Plumlee is really solid depth piece for them at that big. He can give them a lot of different passing opportunities and stuff like that. So this Clippers team is also, we're kind of at the point where these teams are in the championship hunt, and Clippers, I feel like they may have a sense of urgency this year, so we'll see. Now onto the Suns, KD, Book, Beal. This team is going to be, as far as their shot making goes, is how far they go. Really, those three are going to be, the like 90% of their offense. They added some decent wing depth over the course of the year, or adding, oh my gosh, what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Grayson Allen, Josh Okogie, like all these guys kind of are solid wing depth, which is important to go far in the league. And then the Nurkic thing, we all know at this point, I think was a bit of a money thing, kind of getting out of that second tax apron for them. And defensively, it's interesting, especially with, having Frank Vogel as a coach, but maybe they'll run a more drop than they did in preseason, a more drop coverage. So we'll kind of see. It's interesting. Maybe they can unlock Nurk as a hub because he's a really good passer. He's just, I think they want him to just be a big body, inside and grab rebounds, finish, inside off of misses and stuff like that. Be a big rebounder, which he has been in his career. So, we'll kind of see with him. He's never been healthy. This team, aside from Book, has been, a health question mark, which, I guess you could say for any team. I guess, when you lose your best players, obviously it's hard to overcome. Now off to this really fun Kings team, who they didn't really add anything, but they made a really big jump after hiring Mike Brown, who was stellar as a coach last season. Can they do it again? We'll see. Defensively, they weren't that great, and even with Davion, he can't do it alone, and it'll be interesting to see how they make some of those adjustments defensively for the year. Next to the Grizzlies, who have to endure a Josh suspension for 25 games, and then today, as I record, they had news come out that Steven Adams will not be with them this year, which is unfortunate. So now you're expecting more of a Triple J at the 5, and then with your center depth with who, oh my gosh, his name is escaping me right now. Why can't I think of his name? Xavier Tillman, who has been solid, and then they added Isaiah Todd and some other bigs. But Steven Adams definitely hurts, and then how will they endure the jaw suspension? They usually play well without him. They added Marcus Smart, which is pretty big for them to have while Jaws out. So you'll kind of see there. Desmond Bain has been solid. He got his extension, or will need to get his extension soon. Um, Brandon Clark's going to come back this year off of injury. This Grizzlies team has always been solid without Jaw ever since they've gotten him, really. So we'll see. We'll kind of see what this Grizzlies team does. And now finishing off with the Nuggets, who lost Bruce Brown in the offseason, which, they're still heavy favorites in the West, but that we'll see how that loss affects them, because in the playoffs they were giving him pick and roll opportunities on ball, which is crazy because Bruce Brown's just that good. Christian Brown, I said Brown, gave him some really solid minutes to end the season, and he's been a really solid rookie for them, or he was last year, and now we'll kind of have to see what kind of jump he made. KCP is always just been kind of that perfect role player. Jokic is obviously the MVP, and Jamal Murray, coming off of injury, is now getting stronger and stronger, and then MPJ, who didn't have the strongest finals, but we all know what he is as a scorer. So, just what kind of opportunities will they get? The Nuggets are heavy favorites, and so hopefully you enjoyed the preview, and shortly there'll be an Eastern Conference preview, if not already.